Hey, welcome everyone. Sorry for this small fuck-ups related to slow internet and something like that. I'm from Estonia, so it's okay. Who am I? I'm part of growth engineering team from Pipedrive, originally from this city, relocated in 2016. It's short facts about Pipedrive. We have over 30,000 customers, more than 200 employees from 20 different nationalities, so we are kind of multinational company. Here is Pipedrive under the hood. Historically, it has PHP monolith, but we're using highly Node.js, and we're leveraging microservice architecture. And what about front-end? Something like this. I would like to talk about growth engineering team and what I'm doing there. Our goal is actually to develop real features for platform to gain more customers, to develop customer acquisition channels using integration development. So we are making so much experiments, and we actually the team who can break platform and who can produce so many outages. Yeah. Here's how it looks like in practice. Our goal is actually to make this green as much more these green arrows as possible. So this green arrow is something like acquisition channel for Pipedrive. Also, we have a goal to develop features as fast as possible. So we have a limit 1 month per product. So we are developing MVPs, and if it doesn't work, we can totally delete the code base and delete the projects. So we need some kind of stable toolbox. What actually we have? First of all, we don't use third-party libraries. We use some of them, but most of them are provided by different teams from Pipedrive. So we are trying to make as much shared libraries as possible to move as fast as possible from product to product. So we don't have QA at all. So all the developers are responsible for their features. So if something is broken, it's your responsibility. And it's a great tool actually for us to make our software breakable. So we need to think how to break things. We are also using custom linters, code quality tools that is written by different development productivity teams. And we are using Node.js with Docker and custom Docker Swarm for our small services and integrations. And how do we know about events from Pipedrive? If we are doing integrations, we need somehow not to couply tie to existing legacy code and not to produce additional legacy code to code base. We need to find out somehow what happens in Pipedrive. So we are using event-driven architecture, and RabbitMQ helps us to get some events from API Events Exchange. Let's talk about Iframe hosted integrations, which is one of the biggest pain for us. Why did I show this picture? It's because every iframe vendor tries to introduce its own standard. I mean, if you are trying to develop for Microsoft, it will give you something like iframe, and you can render everything inside this iframe. If you work, for example, for Trello, it will give you a bunch of iframes without no communication layer features and something like that. So we are trying to develop our own 15 standard for making something easier for us to develop new integrations in order to remove product if it didn't work for us. So common problems with iframe hosted applications. It's, as I said before, it's lack of standardization. API provided by third-party providers can be kind of unfriendly. I will talk later about this unfriendliness. It means so forget about your fancy tools such as hot module replacement, forget about browser sync and something like that. And also, you will always have side effects from third-party providers. Side effects might be SDK API provider deployed broken version, service outages of third-party provider, and even bugs inside the platform, it's your own headache now. Let's talk about these two guys, Office 365 and Trello. This integration implements some kind of iframe hosted solution, and you can use React, Angular, whatever, because you are actually rendered inside iframe. And this is Trello. Let's talk about Iframe Rampage. It's iframes everywhere. Trello gives you some kind of friendly API when you have attachments, this thing, and all these three things are separate iframes. It means it's separate entry points during your application initialization state. So how to test it? We don't know. What is actually Trello PowerUp? Trello announced it. For now, it's kind of typical thing that everyone announces own store of extension for its own applications. And Trello also tries to provide, to extend their UI user experience using some additional features from other services inside their UI. Is it friendly for developers? I don't think so. That's how you need to do to start developing. They will allocate you some test PowerUp. You need to map manifest, and if something changes, you need to constantly hit update during development. Great. Let's talk about some limitations that you may possibly have during development of third-party integrations. First of all, in ideal world, we have opt-out functionality. For example, when user registered inside your applications, you are started tracking this user. You are starting to make some kind of database records, make this user active. And for example, user need to opt out somehow. User stopped using your extension or integration or whatever. So you need to opt out. In ideal world, you can provide set uninstall URL like Chrome does. In this uninstall URL, you can hook and figure out is how users stopped using it, start tracking, and something like that. How opt-out functionality works in Trello? How do you think, what happens if you press disable to this button? Nothing. It actually will stop loading your manifest, and you will never know if users stop using your integration or not. And for us, it was kind of a problem because we started producing tons of outdated bindings in our Rabbit queue. So in order to prevent some kind of outages in our RabbitMQ service, we need to force our users use different user experience to disable PowerUp. Pretty friendly. And let's talk about SDKs and documentation. You will never know what surprises will show you in Trello. I'm not sure is it friendly or not, but here is an example from Trello API how to write unmaintainable code. In our team, we have one project per month. And imagine a situation when you are waked up by pager duty or your duty handover system and trying to figure out that something happened in production and you need to fix it in 5 a.m. After half a year, how fast you will figure out what's going on here? Can I test this? How? I don't know. Welcome to our world. So, also, we phased out a different example from Trello documentation. How Trello suggests to define entry points. Is it straightforward? How fast will you figure out what's going on here? Let's try to unit test this code. How can you provide setup procedure for that? In our team, we found out interesting pattern. So if our system under test have complex setup procedure, you will always think how to simplify interfaces. For us, the most straightforward solution was using Gango 4 pattern, which is hell for some people from you, maybe, I don't know. And it helped us to decrease amount of setup procedures we need in our application. So look at this and look how we fix it. So for us, we just tried to encapsulate all complex setup things provided by Trello, and we're trying to inject it inside a constructor. So it helped us actually to inject fake Trello library and start our own library on top of it. And new team member will just use 3 API method and will never ask you some questions which can possibly annoy you. Why do we need this? As I said before, testing phases were complex for us. There is no clear separation between system under test and our own implementation. Setup procedure took more effort than actual test. And also, more interactions we have and more incidental complexity we can face. And also, as we don't have fancy development tools, debug took more time than actual feature development. So we started to think if unit test will save us in this case. And I also would like to say that you don't need this if. You can actually use even ugly Trello library if the scope of project is small. And it's scope of if you don't have complex UX in your project. So if you just need to handle some kind of autocomplete search inside Trello card, you don't even need something like this. How we actually test? It's typical tool set instead of this guy. I'm not sure is everyone knowing about proxy query, but for us it's holy grail. It helps us first of all stop everything in runtime. It requires of external dependencies, and it will help to inject us some mocked libraries in runtime. And how it looks? We have our own URL helpers, which is our system under test, and Trello Powered Up library, which is our vendor. And we are just, during runtime, during setup phase, we are injecting our search component and injecting fake library and some stub methods, which is fancy. Lessons learned for us. Why did I talk about Trello? It was kind of concrete example where you don't need to trust to third-party APIs. You will always need to find as more edge cases in third-party library as possible. You don't need to trust to third-party libraries because they don't care about your features. They only care how many users will integrate inside their platform. Why it was sad story? In our case, we decided to forget about ideal world when we built third-party integrations. And also, third-party providers, as I said before, doesn't care what you want to introduce. And customizations, edge cases, and all customizations is your personal headache. And summarizing this talk, I would like to give some links related to more details about pipeline architecture and useful links. Thanks.
Okay. I think I have a question from my side. So, are there any, so you use iframes, right?
Yep.
And are there any possibility to use tools like Google Caja or some maybe
Google what?
Google Caja. It's a compiler of your JavaScript and other assets into safe bundle that you can include into third-party pages.
Actually, we're using browser sync in scope of one single iframe. But in our case, it was a bunch of iframes, and sometimes we need to reload entire applications to find out how it works in communication between all the components, which are pretty separate, and they don't know about each other.
Okay, so right now it's still not possible either by tools or by W3C standards. Do not skip usage of iframes, right?
Right. And now, I think it's forced by marketing to start using iframes as applications inside your application. It's not a great idea, but now it's something, it's evil where we need to live with it.
Well, it's sad. Okay, any questions? I see first one.
Hi.
Hi.
I see. My question is based actually on the story by the Joe who is behind the Trello. Like 15 years ago, probably he made a famous article that is called leaky abstraction, where he states that all abstractions are leaky.
Oh, it's author.
Yeah,
Trello is his company.
Yeah, Trello is, yeah. That's why I mentioned him. So my question is, you actually, as I understand, your approach is to put another abstraction between Trello and your code.
Yep.
And my question is, how leaky is that abstraction? So, for example, you say that often Trello and other providers change their API.
Yep.
How often you have to change not just this abstraction, but the code that is behind it, your actual code that is behind this abstraction?
I think we need to change it like as it is in beta. All the power-ups SDK is in beta. We're changing it too often, actually. Not now.
I mean, so is this abstraction actually isolates you from changes from that API? Or every time when they change the API, you have not only change the abstraction, but you also have to change every
we don't need to change external API that we are given for our newcomers. We only need to change implementation details of our interfaces.
So their changes is not that big that you can still isolate them. So if they introduce new feature, for example, I don't know, I'm far from Trello, but if they introduce new feature, new way to interact with the Trello, I don't know, what it takes for you to provide this feature to your code, and if they change how they
actually, I will introduce a new view, power-up view that we have created, and then inject existing library, and that's it. I have 3-method interface which simplifies my lives and our teammates' life.
Okay, thanks.
For now, it's temporary. So I'm not sure what will be in future because.
And and how long do you have this intermediate? So how
What?
long? It's a year, half a year. So how long do you use this technique?
What do you, how long did we create this application?
No, this intermediate layer. How long it is in use? So how much of experience do you have? 5 years, 1 year, 1 month, 1 day?
It's we don't have 5 years, several months. We have only 1 month. So we're developing MVPs. So for now, product in live is about 1 month.
Thank you.
More questions? Guys, seriously. Nobody uses iframes? Okay, so you can reach our speaker and ask him questions directly, and I think that we should applaud